Wizard of Oz. Very good. Excellent. And so, Kevin, I know that this is one of your favorite, it's one of your favorite movies, so I'm going to speak about, I love this movie, and I love the metaphors in it. Joseph Campbell said that images of myth are reflections of the spiritual potentialities of every one of us, and through contemplating these, we evoke their powers in our lives. And so the characters in this story actually represent parts of our personality, represent parts of us. And I'd like to walk us through some of my ideas about these hidden spiritual treasures that are in the movie and in the characters and in the story. It's actually a story and then it became a movie. I'd like to explore these characters and the symbols so that they might bring meaning for us in our day-to-day practical reality. There's a lot of metaphysical, mystical, and spiritual messages in this story and in this movie. So we'll start with the main character, Dorothy. And Dorothy starts off sad, and she's pining for somewhere over the rainbow. She sings this song, and she's like sad. It's like she's depressed, and she's like longing. She's longing for an if only. Like, when this happens, I'm going to be happy. Somewhere over the rainbow. Like, not here and now, but somewhere reaching, somewhere out there. I know that I feel like that too. Like, I totally relate to that. We've been having some work done in our house, and when we look around, we look around our house and we go, oh, if only we had like a new floor, or if only we had a new countertop, or if only we had the eaves need to be painted. Like, so if only somewhere over the rainbow, And that's not to say that we shouldn't update our house. That's not what I'm saying. And that we shouldn't take care of our things. But there's something missed for me when I'm reaching for something over the rainbow into the future, that my happiness kind of relies on that or depends upon that. For me, anyway. So like Dorothy, we search for somewhere over the rainbow because we can't seem to appreciate, or I can't seem to appreciate, the now moment. But there's something else that happened with Dorothy. Dorothy, here she is, she's wishing for something outside of herself, when suddenly, life on life's terms happens. The twister. This terrible twister. And oh my gosh, has it ever happened to you when you least expect it? This dark night of the soul that just like, it flattens you, whether it be the loss of a loved one, or a burglary, or an illness that happens, or just like that, when life shows up, when the twister comes. I think that probably Dorothy they didn't have a weather channel or something. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it was like no warning, and sometimes that's what happens in our lives. Adversity happens. And when adversity shows up, the metaphysical, mystical, spiritual message here is that adversity is actually that which is propelling us to our higher selves. Doesn't feel good when it's happening. In fact, when it's happening to me, I'm a mess. I'm up here in this one little hour. You tune in. I'm actually only speaking for like 10, 15 minutes. But you all should really tune in to my house. It's not a pretty sight sometimes. So how many times have we seen a twister show up in our lives? Life shaking us so bad and forcing us to really look at, who am I? And why am I here? And how did I get here? And who are you? Because isn't that what happened with Dorothy? She slipped into an amnesia. See, what actually happened is in the twister, she got hit on the head with something. She slipped into like an unconscious state. which is where we really all are, where I really am. You know, I question, you know, why do I feel unsafe sometimes? Why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel depressed? Why do I put some of my expectations and attachments into people, places, and things? And that's where I get screwed up when I do that. But I do that because I've got an amnesia. You know what I mean? Like I something hit me on the head. And I question, where is home? And when I say home, and you know, like look this metaphor also of our house extreme makeover nightmare that's happening. It's like it's a lot of change. It's a lot of upheaval, and I don't even like recognize my home. It's like, where's my home? I miss my home. Where's home? You know, but home is an illusion. The outward home, the inward home, the inward home is where I'm safe. So whether it's Munchkin Land or Emerald Forest or the Land of Oz, none of us are experiencing reality when we're fooled by the illusion of Oz, of Munchkin Land. All that was actually real was that Dorothy was asleep in her bed in Kansas, and she never actually went anywhere. Isn't that true? And for us, how many times do we get caught up in our issues and our stories, really believing that the Wicked Witch or the flying monkeys are out to get us, and pointing and blaming? That's the cause of our demise. And what about when we show up for others as the Wicked Witch or the flying monkey? I know I've been quite a monkey lately. And a bit of a witch. You know, those nasty character defects of ours, they rear their ugly heads when we least expect it. Even when that beautiful crystal ball in the movie where there's this beautiful crystal ball and Annie M is there, and then all of a sudden it's not Annie M anymore, it's the witch, you know? It's like I do that. I'm like, one minute I'm Annie M and the next minute I'm the witch. Thank goodness for the spiritual companions in our lives, though, to set us right on our path. You know, Dorothy, like us, was blessed to have spirit guides, spiritual companions, satsanga in a way, you know, good association. But these companions were really, you know, they're also parts of ourselves. They're also parts of our personality, of course. But in another metaphor, in another analogy, we have guides. Her loving companions brought her safely on her journey. And you know, Scarecrow, one of my favorites because, you know, if I only had a brain, and it doesn't matter like how many PhDs or masters I have, you know, I go right back to I have a GED. I'm stupid, you know. I have this New York accent, I sound like a fool sometimes, you know. And if you talk to my partner, she'll tell you sometimes I say foolish things. But again, Scarecrow, you know, represents something for us. Tin Man and the Lion were other, you know, guides on the path. I think the Scarecrow really represents the third eye. The intuitive nature of self, the inner guidance, the sixth sense. Jnana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, the path of divine knowledge, representing, you know, this conscious, metaphysical, mystical information, divine intelligence. And I know that when I'm in the now moments, I can tap into that divine intuition. I know I can. But when I'm all messed up with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I'm so messed up with really believing that the Munchkins actually exist, when I forget, when I'm in that spiritual amnesia, then it's hard for me to tap into the divine information. You know, but when I'm in the sasa, in the Swahili, in the sasa, I'm learning this in African theology. In the sasa, when I'm in that now moment of the inner, the within, be still and know that I am God place. It's like, there's no place like home. That's where I have my knowledge. Her other companions, you know, the Tin Man, who I think represents the heart chakra, Anahata. Bhakti, yoga, divine love. And the lion, I believe, represents a lot of things, but one of the things he represents is karma yoga and service. You know, despite his courage, he went beyond out of service for others. So they start down this yellow brick road, which is the journey, our soul's evolution, our path. And there was a lot of things that, you know, they felt like they wanted to give up. I know they did. They got confused. They got frustrated. They forgot sometimes even why they were going when they went to the poppy field and they fell asleep and then they were like, where are we? You know, God, that happens to me. I forget. I get confused. I get frustrated. I don't know which direction I'm supposed to be going in. And sometimes I even forget. Why am I really here? What's my purpose? You know, but one of the beautiful things about the movie also, and the book, of course, is, you know, Dorothy's got these ruby slippers, you know, she's got these ruby slippers, and the witch wants them. The witch wants those slippers, boy. You know, who is that? Well, that's ego, right? Our ego doesn't want us to remember who we are. The ego wants to survive. The ego needs to survive. The ego needs to survive, because without the ego is dead. You know, there is no ego. The true nature of the self takes over the ego. So Dorothy's watching her feet. She's in the sasa. She's in the now. She's looking at her feet. Where are your feet, Dorothy? You know, she keeps looking one step at a time. Stay on the path. Stay on the path. Stay on the path. Don't veer off the path. I want to veer off the path sometimes. Sometimes I get really tired of it because it takes vigilance. It takes practice. Because I'm not enlightened. I told you, you got to come to my house. And you'll know that I'm not there. But you know, like I really have to keep reminding myself, stay on the path, stay on the path. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk, has a wonderful book, and it's called Peace is Every Step. And it reminds us to appreciate each moment on the journey. See, they were very fixated on, gotta get to Oz, gotta see the wizard, because I want to get home. It was still about if only. But there were some really magical things that were going on in every step of the journey. The journey was important. Dorothy was a seeker, as we all are. And I think that as long as I remain a seeker of these powers greater than myself, I got lots of powers greater than myself. There's the one source, there's the one presence. I believe that. Brahman, we call it. Others call it Allah. Others call it, you know, God the Father, Jehovah. Brahman, but Brahman, you know, in Hindu scriptures, it's the one source. It's everything, it's the energy, it's the presence, it's everything that is, supporting everything that is. A little bit beneath that are lots of powers. Ancestors, guides, angels, archangels, masters of light, forces of the universe, masters of the Akashic record. I mean, we can go on and on. I don't have to tell you, this is the crowd that believes that stuff, right? So I got lots of powers, and so as a seeker, you know, it's really wonderful to know that there is something supporting me on this journey. Just got to keep one foot in front of the other. Keep on the path. Now, when Dorothy and her friends, her guides, they finally make it to the land of Oz. And they meet, finally, the great and all-powerful wizard. Oh my God, I want to talk about expectations, right? Boy, were they disappointed. The Hindu scriptures teach us about Maya, illusion. You know, that none of this is real, really. That the only absolute reality is that presence. That's who we really are. How do we know that? Because when I drop dead in front of you, and I hope it doesn't happen here, because Kevin, that would really make Kevin upset. Oh, come to my funeral. Excellent. Thank you. I want a closed casket because I'm sure my hair will look right. It will look right. Anyway, if I were to die, you would be like, hey, get up. What are you doing? Can you sing? You know. But you would know that that wasn't really me. So where did me go? You know, so that energy, that essence of who I really am is my reality, is the reality. And I believe that this one source, this presence, this principle, this isness, this suchness, this whatever it isness, that's absolute reality. But I know that. That's my belief system. I'm sharing my belief system with you right now. But I go to the poppy fields often. Not really. I forget. I go back to sleep. You know, Dorothy and her allies have to go through some scary places and meet some pretty horrifying realities head on this journey. The witch, the monkeys, right? But despite their fear, they move on. So, you know, fear, F-E-A-R, they face everything and recover. And in fact, it's out of love and service at the end that Dorothy reaches for the bucket, because I don't know if you remember, but Scarecrow gets like lit on fire. Remember that scene where he's like lit on fire? And then Dorothy goes to grab the bucket, and it's out of love and service for him that she takes the water and douses him, but she kind of like douses him and then also gets the witch. And so it's through that love, bhakti yoga, love of others, opening our heart chakra, and service. That's why we've come. Love and serve. To love, to serve, and to remember. Remember what? Remember who we really are. So through love and service, boom, ignorance is destroyed. Now, do you remember Glinda, the Good Witch? Do you remember Glinda, the Good Witch? If not, you need to go back and look at the movie. All right. Don't be afraid. This is okay. The Good Witch is the guru, the teacher, the spiritual preceptor, who reminds her and gives her a mantra. Says, here's the mantra. Click your heels 3 times. It's like japa. It's like doing the mala dance. Click your heels 3 times. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And she says, close your eyes. Close your eyes and go within and do your practice. The Bhagavad Gita says, my wondrous Maya, my wondrous illusion, my wondrous Maya is extremely difficult to cross over. But whoever surrenders to the divine is able to cross over it and become free from the power of illusion. So what does Dorothy do? She surrenders. Because she's been trying all kinds of other manipulative things. Go see the wizard, we're going to get a balloon, we're going to get a little degree for the tin, for the scarecrow, and all of these manipulative things that we try to do in our lives to arrange. It was as simple as closing your eyes and saying a little mantra. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to have a mantra, but the ruby slippers are our spiritual practice. You see, we gotta do it, no matter what. When I do that, when I surrender, when I'm in the sasa, when I'm in the now moment, when I'm in the within moment, when I go within, remind myself somewhere over the rainbow. Or like the scarecrow or the lion or the tin man, if only I had a fill in the blank. But it's all an illusion. When I call on the light within, I go home. So I would ask these questions. What are your ruby slippers? You know, I know what mine are, and they work for me. What helps you find your way home? What are your mystical and metaphysical and spiritual tools? And do you use them? Who are your guides? How do we wake up from our spiritual amnesia? You know, for me, I want to stay on this path. I'm making that commitment right now in front of all these people. I'm going to stay on my path. I'm going to take it one step at a time. And eventually, I'll pull back the curtain and see the illusion. And then I'll be home. But a dog will have to be involved.